All right, so as I enter into the final rounds of this study, one question might come to mind as you watch this. That's well, where is the artistry? Where is the originality, the creativity in a process like this? And that's totally open to debate. As a study, as is a way of practicing, way of learning, I think this approach, this method definitely does have value. If you are working from your own photography and turning it into a painting, this would be identified, if you're thinking about just how it might be received by professionals, they would probably dismiss this as a paint over. And so at this stage, it really becomes questionable, whether or not this is just going over a photograph and pushing pixels around. So the question is, at which point, since we're basing something on a photo, how do we make a photograph, a painting based on a photograph, really sing and feel, original and expressive? So I don't really have an answer for that. I think it's going to be a mixture of, just your own tastes and aesthetics, having an idea. This came up a lot in my painting classes, as a graduate student. What are you trying to say with the piece? What's your concept? If this is all about violence and energy, how might I use the strokes, the tools to express that? And how might I use them in a way that is it's not just so obvious that I'm using a particular tool or a particular application. So maybe my idea is that in the mind of the boxer, things are relatively calm and controlled. But the body, on the other hand, it's constantly in motion, and it's being impacted by everything from internal heat, fatigue, but somehow, and of course the impacts from the blows from the opponent, the factor of time, the sounds, the sights, the smells around, all of that is possibly expressed through these little tremors that I'm adding to the piece with my smudge tool. This could just easily be a brush of some kind. Okay. And then how much of that energy possibly makes its way into the mind of the boxer. And you say boxing is always kind of a head game. There's a lot of trying to provoke, react, anticipate. So maybe there's just a little disruption, fewer disruptions happening as we get closer to the face. And maybe one eye, maybe my idea is that just that one eye is going to be the only thing because it's focused on not only the target, but the next move. So that could be the one thing in the piece that remains sort of still and serene. And whether or not anyone feels that, to looking at the piece, not as important as me having this as an idea and letting it guide the strokes that I make. Further away we get from the body, or the closer we get to the opponent, maybe things just get really chaotic. Back to my brush. Maybe allowing some of these other colors to land, splash elsewhere in the painting. That could also give us something that's a little more evocative. We'll see. Back to smudge. Okay. What if I want to emphasize some of those diagonals? Right? How do I know if I'm done? How do I know if I'm overworking a section? I don't know. But at some point I'm going to have to stop. So I might give myself another 4 minutes to wrap things up. I feel that the initial flat painting, even with the little gaps of gray included, gave me a kind of a scaffolding onto which I could build this concept. If I feel like I'm getting close to something, I might stop, come back to the piece. I can also duplicate this layer, hide the duplicate, and then just kind of give myself permission to do something even more kind of destructive, maybe. Okay, what I'm doing now is mostly about trying to recapture some rhythm, alternating from those smooth edges, going from being blurred, and then maybe back to something sharp, and then back to something blurred to sharp, all throughout wherever I can. So we have these little moments of familiar, kind of realistic, representational bits, and then these other moments where things are just really being disrupted by the chaos and violence. Even just making a decision, maybe just have one nostril in there, just to give us something that's a little unsettling. Think about a boxer's facial features and how much abuse they take with every blow. What might the boxer be feeling, after getting struck in the face? Does something go numb, and therefore how might I interpret that with my strokes? All right, so I'm going to stop here. There's definitely room for, more, but I think this is a good overview. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out here. I'm going to save the file. It's a PSD. And we give myself a little preview. So I'm going to go to the crop tool, drop it down to just the painting itself, hitting the F key, and zoom in a bit. Okay, and right, there's something starting to happen here. Lastly, I'll say that these kinds of studies can also be ways of thumbnailing or sketching in preparation for an actual painting. It's not uncommon, an actual physical painting done in traditional media. So it's not uncommon for painters who paint in oil or acrylics to do small sketches, small studies of their subject, maybe several of them. And then when they're satisfied with the choice of colors, it's going to be a very long analytical process. And once they're satisfied with the composition, with the colors, they could then transfer the sketch somehow, maybe through projection or maybe printing directly on the canvas or whatever the support is. They can transfer the sketch and then proceed to do the painting at a larger scale in a traditional medium. Okay, so there are lots of ways that I can go with this. I could increase the resolution to something that is poster size, and then go in and maybe repaint the entire thing based on this study. Or I might just allow the pixels to be enlarged, stretched, upsampled, and just paint directly on top of that. Right. So I want you to see that these pixels can be seen as alive at every stage of the painting, and they can also be a prelude into something done in a different medium. All right, so I'm going to stop there. I actually have one more thing to do here. Why not add a little signature? Okay, and I'm done. Okay, thanks for watching.